Hey there, and welcome back. If you're anything like me, you're always up for adding a little more sunshine into your everyday life, right?
Absolutely.
Well, you're in for a treat. Today we're taking a deep dive into some seriously practical, positive thinking techniques.
Yes, I'm excited to dig into this with you. Forget those cheesy, overly simplistic approaches we're talking about, techniques backed by science and designed to bring more resilience and genuine optimism into your life.
I love that. It's not about forcing a grin when things are tough. It's about equipping yourself with the tools to navigate life's ups and downs with a little more grace. We're drawing our insights from Serena Kalin's article, Positive Thinking Techniques for Daily Life. Transform your life today. It's easy, actually. Published just this month on Medium.
What's intriguing about Kalin's approach is that she doesn't shy away from acknowledging that positive thinking can sometimes get a bad rap, for being, a bit corny. But she makes a compelling case for how simple shifts in perspective, backed by some pretty fascinating science, can lead to real change.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Kalin kicks things off by talking about morning affirmations. She suggests literally looking in the mirror and saying things like, "Today is going to be a great day." Now, I have to admit, this one always makes me cringe a little. Does it really work?
I get it. It can feel a bit awkward at first, but there's a reason this technique has gained so much traction. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, and repeating positive affirmations, especially first thing in the morning, essentially primes your mind to look for evidence that supports those statements throughout the day. It's like laying the groundwork for a more positive outlook.
So instead of dwelling on that one negative comment, you're more likely to notice the positive interactions because you've set that intention.
Exactly. You're essentially training your attention to focus on the good. Imagine those optical illusions where you can see two different images depending on where you focus. Affirmations help you choose which image you're more likely to see in your daily life.
Okay, that analogy makes a lot of sense. But I'm curious, any tips for making morning affirmations feel less, cheesy? I think that's the hurdle for a lot of people, myself included.
Absolutely. The key is to make them personal and actionable. Instead of generic statements, try framing them as intentions for the day. For example, instead of "I am successful," try "Today I'll focus my energy on making progress on that important project."
That feels so much more doable and relevant to my actual life. All right, speaking of actionable, Kalin also talks about something called the gratitude game. This one sounds right up my alley. Tell me more.
It's all about actively combating that negativity bias we tend to have. Kalin suggests finding just 3 things each day that you're grateful for, big or small, it doesn't matter.
3 things. That feels totally manageable even on a crazy day. But why is this so impactful?
Because it trains your brain to start scanning for those positive moments. Did you sleep well?
Yeah.
Great, that counts. Was the coffee extra good this morning?
Sometimes.
Awesome. Did you ace that presentation? Huge win. The more you do it, the more your brain starts to automatically look for those little wins.
It's like you're rewiring your brain to see the world through a more appreciative lens.
Precisely. You're shifting your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right, and that can make a world of difference.
This is great. So we've talked about starting the day with positive affirmations and playing the gratitude game. But what about when things inevitably go wrong? Because let's be real, life isn't always smooth sailing. Kalin addresses this too, with a technique she calls reframing.
Reframing is such a powerful tool for navigating those inevitable curveballs life throws our way.
Okay, so does that mean we're supposed to slap on a fake smile and pretend everything's perfect even when it's not? Because that doesn't feel very authentic.
Not at all. It's about consciously choosing to see a challenging situation from a different angle to find the hidden opportunity or lesson within the difficulty. It's not about denying the negative, but about looking for the potential for growth or a new perspective within it.
Okay, I need an example because this sounds a little abstract.
Sure. Kalin uses the example of missing the bus. Instead of letting that ruin your morning and dictate your mood, you can reframe it by thinking, okay, now I have a few extra minutes to enjoy this podcast, or call a friend, or finally pop into that cute bakery I've been meaning to try.
I love that. So it's about finding those silver linings, even in those everyday annoyances, to shift your energy.
Exactly. It's about shifting from why me to what can I learn from this, or what good can come from this situation.
This is brilliant. It's like giving your brain a mental do-over.
Precisely. And sometimes that's all it takes to shift your entire experience.
This is amazing. Okay, but here's the thing. What about when things are genuinely tough? Is it healthy to try to put a positive spin on things when we're dealing with real challenges and difficult emotions? Kalin touches on this in her article too, when she talks about the dangers of toxic positivity.
Such a crucial point. Kalin is spot on here. Toxic positivity is essentially the pressure to be positive all the time, regardless of what you're going through. And it can be incredibly invalidating and even harmful.
Because, let's be real, Sometimes life just plain stinks, and it's more than okay to feel those feelings.
Absolutely. In fact, trying to suppress or deny negative emotions can do more harm than good. They're there for a reason. Negative emotions often serve as important signals that something needs our attention.
So if we're not supposed to ignore those negative emotions, how do we deal with them in a healthy way without spiraling? What's the alternative?
This is where things get really interesting, because Kaelin introduces a concept that at first glance might seem a little counterintuitive: negative visualization.
Negative visualization. Okay, now you've got my attention. That sounds intense. Is this about manifesting bad things?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm on board with that.
I hear you. It sounds a little scary, right? But it's not about inviting negativity into your life or expecting the worst to happen. This is actually a technique used by the ancient Stoics, and it's about mentally preparing for challenges so you're not caught off guard.
Okay, I'm intrigued but still a little wary. Tell me more.
It's about taking a few moments each day to think about the things that could go wrong. Not to dwell on them or become anxious, but rather to mentally prepare yourself for those possibilities.
So instead of panicking when the metaphorical car breaks down, you've already mentally mapped out some potential solutions because you've acknowledged that it's a possibility.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that studies have shown that this type of negative visualization can actually increase feelings of gratitude for what you have. You're also likely to feel calmer when challenges do arise because you've mentally rehearsed how to handle them. It's like that saying, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
That's a really interesting perspective. Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be valuable, but it seems like a fine line to walk mentally preparing for challenges without letting those thoughts take over.
Absolutely. The key with negative visualization is approaching it with a sense of detachment. You're acknowledging potential negative outcomes, but not getting stuck in them. You're mentally preparing for them as possibilities, not certainties.
So you're not inviting those negative experiences into your life, but you're also not pretending they can't happen. You're simply acknowledging they could happen and mentally preparing yourself to handle them with grace if they do.
Exactly. And this ties beautifully into Kaelin's next point, which is all about finding that sweet spot between unbridled optimism and negativity, which she calls realistic optimism.
Realistic optimism. Now that sounds like the holy grail of positive thinking. It really does sound like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this realistic optimism. What does it actually look like in practice?
It's about finding that middle ground. Realistic optimism isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending they don't exist. It's about acknowledging them while maintaining a belief in your ability to navigate them and find solutions. It's that can-do spirit, even when can-do means adapting, adjusting, or pivoting entirely.
So it's about having a clear view of reality, both the good and the bad, but also leaving space for hope and possibility.
Exactly. You don't get bogged down by challenges. You approach them with that can-do energy. And even if that means adjusting your approach or finding a new path altogether, you believe in your ability to figure it out.
This is resonating with me on a deep level. It's about focusing on what you can control: your attitude, your effort, your willingness to adapt, and releasing the need to control everything else, which is a recipe for stress if I've ever heard one.
You've got it. And that's what makes realistic optimism so empowering. It puts you in the driver's seat. You're not at the mercy of your circumstances. You're an active participant in shaping your experience, even amidst challenges.
Okay, I'm fully on board. Realistic optimism sounds like a superpower we could all use a little more of. But how do we actually cultivate this mindset? It seems like something that takes practice.
You're absolutely right, it does. It's like building any other mental muscle. One powerful technique is to start reframing failures as learning opportunities. Instead of beating yourself up when things don't go as planned, ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? How can I use this to make a better decision next time?
That is such a powerful reframe. It's about shifting from a fixed mindset where you believe your abilities are set in stone to a growth mindset where you see challenges as opportunities to learn and evolve.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective is at the heart of realistic optimism. It's that belief that you can learn and grow from your experiences, that setbacks are not the end of the story, but opportunities for course correction and continued growth.
It makes you wonder how many times we've given up on things just because we hit a roadblock and assumed it meant we weren't good enough or that it wasn't meant to be. What if instead we embraced realistic optimism and saw those roadblocks as challenges to overcome, as opportunities to learn and come back stronger?
That's the power of this mindset shift. It opens up a world of possibilities. And, this ties into another great point Kaelin makes in her article about the importance of kindness.
Oh, yes. She talks about it not just about being on the receiving end of kindness, but the power of actively practicing it.
Exactly. She highlights the impact of random acts of kindness. Not only can you make someone else's day, but these acts can also significantly boost your own mood.
It's like that saying, helping others is the best way to help yourself. And it makes you realize how interconnected everything is. Our thoughts, our actions, our well-being, and the well-being of those around us.
It really is remarkable. And that's what makes these positive thinking techniques so much more than just thinking happy thoughts in isolation. They're about actively creating a more positive and fulfilling life experience through our thoughts, our actions, and our interactions with the world around us.
It's a beautiful ripple effect. Kaylin even encourages her readers to try incorporating just one random act of kindness every day for a week and see how it makes them feel. I love that.
What a fantastic challenge. I'm in. It's such a simple yet powerful way to reinforce our own positive mindset and create a ripple effect of kindness out in the world.
It's a win-win. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground morning affirmations, the gratitude game, reframing, toxic positivity, negative visualization, realistic optimism, and the power of kindness. It's amazing how much practical wisdom Kaylin packed into that article. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired and ready to put some of these techniques into action in my own life.
Me too. And it's a good reminder that even just talking about these techniques can have such a positive effect.
It really can. So as we move towards wrapping up our deep dive today, I'm curious to get your perspective on something. If someone is feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of these different techniques and isn't sure where to start, what would you recommend they focus on first?
It's a lot to take in. I can see how it could feel overwhelming to try to implement everything at once.
It definitely can be. If I had to pick just one thing to focus on first, it would be cultivating awareness of your thoughts.
Makes sense to me. You can't very well change what you're not aware of in the first place. Exactly. So often our thoughts are on autopilot. We're not even conscious of the negative self-talk or limiting beliefs that might be holding us back. So start by simply noticing your thoughts. Pay attention to that inner dialogue.
Any tips for doing that? It seems like our thoughts can be pretty slippery characters. They're there 1 minute and gone the next.
They can be. One helpful technique is to set reminders throughout the day to just check in with yourself. You could use your phone, a sticky note, whatever works for you. Whenever you see the reminder, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? Is this thought helpful or harmful? Is it based on fact or fear?
It's like hitting the pause button on your thoughts and choosing which ones you want to feed and which ones you want to let go of.
Precisely. It takes practice and effort, but the more you do it, the more conscious you become of your thought patterns, and the more power you have to choose thoughts that serve you rather than hold you back.
This has been so eye-opening. It really drives home Kaylin's point that positive thinking isn't about denying reality or forcing a fake smile when things are rough. It's about making those small conscious shifts in our thinking and actions that ripple outward into our well-being.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we have more power than we often realize to shape our experience of the world around us, and that's incredibly empowering.
It really is. And the best part is that it doesn't require a complete personality overhaul or hours of meditation each day. It's about incorporating these simple yet powerful techniques into our daily lives, starting with even just one small step.
Yes. And remembering that it's a journey, not a destination. There will be days when embracing these practices feels easier than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep coming back to them, to keep practicing, and to keep believing in your own capacity for growth and positive change.
So true. Don't beat yourself up if you miss a day of gratitude journaling or catch yourself slipping into negative self-talk. It happens to all of us. Just acknowledge it, gently guide yourself back to those positive practices, and keep moving forward.
I love that. And it reminds me of something else Kaylin mentioned in her article. She talked about how even just smiling at a stranger can create a mini ripple effect of positivity. Not just for them, but for you too. It's a tiny but powerful reminder that even the smallest actions can make a difference.
That is such a good point. It highlights how interconnected we all are, and those small acts of kindness can ripple outward in ways we might not even realize. So to our amazing listener, we encourage you to take one thing from our deep dive today, whether it's starting your day with a gratitude list, reframing a challenging situation, or simply smiling at someone you pass on the street, and just try it. See how it impacts your day. You might be surprised by the positive ripples it creates.
Absolutely. And remember, be kind to yourself throughout the process. Change takes time, and it's not always linear. Celebrate the small victories, embrace those challenges as opportunities for growth, and never underestimate your incredible capacity for positive change.
Beautifully said. And on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into everyday positivity. Remember, even small shifts in your thinking and actions can have a big impact on your life. Now go out there and create that more positive and fulfilling reality for yourself. One thought, one action, one act of kindness at a time.